Hi, my name is Schyler Church. I'm a California real estate broker as well as a member of the education department at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We provide the course requirements to be eligible to actually receive your real estate license to take that state exam in California, as well as varying levels of prep to make sure you're actually prepared to pass that state exam. And that state exam is what we're talking about today. So practice questions to help you review. And this is contract edition. So all of these questions are going to deal with contracts. And this is the seventh area of the state exam. So we want to make sure you're proficient in it, and let's just dive into it. 1, if a contract has been executed, it means that A, both parties have performed completely their obligations as provided by the contract. B, matters relating to the contract remain to be performed. C, only one party must perform. D, none of the above are correct. Okay, so we're talking about an executed contract, not an executory contract, because executory means that it's in progress of being performed. So looking at this, the best answer is A. Both parties have performed completely their obligations as provided by the contract. That means that they have performed them, they've executed them, and the contract has been done and completed by the parties. Whereas B is they're talking about an executory contract. And C, only one party must perform. No, that's not true. When it's been executed, it means that all parties have performed their obligations stipulated by the contract. And D, none of the above are correct. Well, that would be the correct answer if A wasn't an option. So, 2, all of the following are necessary elements of a contract, except A, writing, B, legal objective, C, consideration, D, competent parties. Well, we're talking about a contract, any type of contract, not necessarily just a real estate contract. Well, we know there are 4 elements that are always needing to be completed for a valid contract, which is legal objective, consideration, mutuality, and competent parties. Those are necessary elements. And then writing is a requirement when it comes to the statute of frauds. So if it's a real estate contract, all real estate contracts must be in writing except leases of a year or less. And then when it comes to any type of contract, the statute of frauds also applies. If it takes over a year to perform, then the contract must be in writing. But always necessary elements of any contract are all of them except writing. And we'll go through this. Remember, for a valid contract, there's 4 essential elements of any valid contract. Competent parties, so the capacity to contract, so not have been declared incompetent in a court of law, or minors, for instance, unless the minor has been divorced, is married, in the military, or emancipated. Mutual consent or mutual assent, that just means mutuality, that there's genuine offer and genuine acceptance. 3, that there's a lawful objective. If it was to obtain, for instance, drugs, an illegal type of drug, well, that's not a valid contract because its purpose is not lawful. It's not legal. 4, sufficient consideration. Remember, so anything of value, it has to be sufficient. It can be a service, act of forbearance, could be money, could be an asset. Does not need to be cash, though. And then one more for real estate contracts. Due to the statute of frauds, it must be in writing except for leases of a year or less. So with the other question, all of them are valid for a valid contract except writing, unless it was a real estate contract. But remember, leases of a year or less do not need to be in writing. 3, a single man sells real property that he owns. After the contract is signed, escrow has closed and the deed is recorded. The title company discovers that the man is under 18 years of age. The transaction is A, voidable, B, void, C, valid, D, legal. So for state exam purposes, what we're looking at here is that there is a lack of capacity to contract because the man is a minor. If he was married, divorced, emancipated, or in the military, then it wouldn't matter that he's under 18 years of age. But that is not stipulated. So we have to assume he does not have the capacity to contract. Due to that, for state exam purposes, the correct answer is void. There's no legally binding effect because one of the necessary elements of the capacity to contract has not been met. So void is the correct and the best answer for the state exam. 4. A seller promises to pay a commission if the broker finds a buyer, and the broker promises to use diligence in finding the buyer. This is called A, unilateral executed contract, B, bilateral executory contract, C, unilateral executory contract, D, bilateral executed contract. Okay, so what we're looking here is that we have to figure out if it's bilateral or unilateral, and if it's executed or executory. So we're looking at here. So the seller promises to pay a commission if the broker finds a buyer. So the seller's promising something. And the broker promises to use diligence in finding the buyer. Well, the broker's also promising something. So it's a promise for a promise. Okay? So if we know promise for a promise, we should automatically be assuming bilateral contract. If it was a promise for an act, that is a unilateral contract, but bilateral is correct. And now, is this executed or executory? Well, let's see here. Is the contract been executed yet? Has it been completed by all parties? Or is it in the progress? Is it being in progress of being completed? That would mean, is it executory then at that point? Well, knowing all of this, the correct answer is a bilateral executory contract, because the contract has not been fulfilled by all parties yet. It's in progress. So bilateral executory contract. 5. Novation is most closely related to A, realization of an unexpected profit, B, creation of an existing agreement, C, substitution of a new contract for an old one, D, modification of a contract. Okay, so we have to think here, what does novation mean? Novation is substituting something old with something new. So it's basically getting rid of the old one for something new. Well, when it comes to contracts, the best answer here then is C, substitution of a new contract for an old one. We're not talking about realization of an unexpected profit. That's not something. Creation of an existing agreement. No, that's just basically replicating an agreement. And then D, modification of a contract. No, we're not. Well, we are doing a kind of a modification, but it's a substitution where we're completely getting rid of the old contract with a new one. So that's novation. And so we're substituting. So the best answer is C, substitution of a new contract for an old one. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at Accredited Real Estate Schools. If you like these videos, make sure to subscribe to our channel and we'll keep making them. And this is our contract edition of our practice questions. Good luck with taking that state exam, and always feel free to contact us by email, phone, or comment below, and we'd be glad to assist you. Thanks for watching.